Okay, so let's go back to citizenship. So there are five, may not have known this, there are five citizenships: the American state national, the state citizen, the federal United States citizen, the territorial United, that's the US citizen, and then you got the municipal citizen of the United States. This is a document that's on our Oklahoma website. It's also on the TASA website. We're just going to talk about these two. The American state national is naturally born on the land and soil of an American state, or a foreign-born man or woman who, after being naturalized as a U.S. citizen, accepts and publishes their adoption of an American state. Completely unincorporated lawful person, not acting as a citizen of any government, owes no obligation to government beyond keeping the peace and reporting crimes. Only the four-pager 1779 Declaration is required to operate in the General Assembly and the militia as an American state national. So that's, we encourage you to record every document you can find that further gives you an ironclad case that you are on the land jurisdiction. But it's important to know that if you just want to get on the land with your hat in your hand, Indiana Jones style, the four-pager 1779 Declaration will do it. It will do the job. So the state national remains a state national until the age of 21, at which point they can choose to accept the duty and obligation of serving as a state citizen. They are sovereign and private and generally immune from prosecution unless they have committed a crime. A crime, this is a good definition. According to the doctrine of Corpus Delicti, which in Latin means body of evidence, a crime is harming someone or depriving someone of their rights or depriving someone of their private property.
Well, I didn't do any of that.
Yeah, so you are not guilty of a crime. That is important to remember. In common law, that is it. Now, I wouldn't encourage you to just stomp off and start doing things that you know the fact of government is not going to like. Don't do that. The reason why is because we need you here on the land to help us stand up our assembly. And it's also good to be in honor. Anyway, we need you working with us. If you get entangled in those admiralty courts and it's taken all your time, you won't be available to help stand up the assembly. It's important that remain in honor. Do what you think is right in your conscience, and try not to get entangled in somebody else's, foreign government, because we need you here. We don't need you distracted. That's my personal advice. Okay. The American state national is by definition a civilian and internationally protected person, is owed the law of peace per Army pamphlet 27-161-1. So the law of peace, that is what is owed by a foreign government to an American state national. The British territorial is an entity that exists solely in the international sea jurisdiction. It is operated by the British Crown. Actually, now it's not. It's operated by the UN that's doing business as the IMF, or it's operated by the new Federal Reserve in all caps. But that's a different story. But they're definitely foreign. Doesn't matter which way you cut it. They're all foreign, and they owe us the law of peace. Maybe elected to public office, serving the capacity of state citizen, of course, whereupon they become subject to their oath of affirmation or of office for the duration of their time in office. They are the lowercase people of each state and populate the national soil jurisdiction. Nationalities are Oklahomans, Texans, New Yorkers. So I was born in Texas, which means that my nationality is Texan, but my home state is Oklahoma because that's where my house is. Cannot serve in the General Assembly or Business Assembly as an American state national because you need to be a state citizen and you need to have documentation that provides everyone evidence of your single allegiance to the state. They have volunteered to accept the obligations of self-governments in behalf of their state of the union. They're the capital people, the people of their state. So, you've got we the people, capital P. Those are state citizens. So people of their state and parties enabled to enforce the constitutions directly and indirectly through their state's membership in the Federation of States, known as the United States of America, and the Union, known as the United States. If you've noticed with all these titles, all these names, there's a lot of semantic deceit going on. As John Little likes to say from The Sovereign's Way, if it isn't spelled the same, it doesn't mean the same thing. That's a really good rule of thumb to keep in mind. If it isn't spelled the same, it doesn't mean the same thing. Okay, when we reach the age of 21, we can accept the responsibility and obligations involved to become eligible to act as citizens of our State of the Union. They must be free to make decisions impacting their state and its relations with other nations and states in the international jurisdiction. This means having a clear mind, open conscience, unaffected by mixed loyalties to any other master or foreign nation or state. They must record additional paperwork in order to demonstrate their single allegiance to the State of the Union. The 928s cover that requirement, just letting you know. That's why we recommend everyone to complete them. Both state nationals and state citizens can take part in public elections and may serve as electors. Part of the qualification for the elector is to own land and to be at least 21. If deputized or elected to office, state nationals assume state citizenship. State citizens occupy state and county public offices, acting as state justices, local justices of the peace, sheriffs, peacekeeping deputies, coroners, other public offices, paid or unpaid. So here's an interesting note. The word citizen always implies an obligation to serve some form of government. This is why we say that the state national, when they accept the duties and obligations to serve in the civil republic, that's when they become a state citizen, right? But you choose that, right? So the commonly used term American citizen is not an actual political status. It is a misnomer. You cannot be an American and a citizen at the same time, in the same way that you cannot be a sovereign and a citizen at the same time. You know, and I want to be clear, all Americans are sovereign, and that is because we were granted sovereignty by William Belcher. And that's back in the days of the Continental Army. And so if you're an American, then you are sovereign. I'm just saying this position of the American State Assembly is that you can't be a sovereign and a citizen at the same time, which is why we claim the status American State National. So questions?